On the 4 tenders that we have done with Unops, we have acquired up to today 725 medications from about 730, 800 medication that we actually acquired. This medication have cost 950 million quetzales. If we had paid these medications to prices before the incorporation of all these strategies and the support of Unops, this medication will have cost 2,089 million quetzales. Purchasing quality medication at best prices and obtaining savings based on the previous budget of 54%. This is what we have achieved in 4 tender processes in the period of 18 months. And the idea is to do more simple processes, clear, public, and transparent. And he has Alzheimer and dementia, and in less than 5 minutes we got the medication. So let's God, bless Elise. They used to have big problem, but now they have really improved because we have the medication right here. So we're happy. In Jalisco for 3 continuous years, we had the first place in transparency.
La finalidad principal de este proyecto
this project is to bring the culture and education to the population, not only the Lima population, but nationwide. This will be the biggest museum in Peru. And besides this big value that it has that improve the quality of life of those that come through here, it has an intangible cost, which is to return the trust that these things can happen. They have helped with the transparency, efficiency, efficacy of government projects with a high complexity through different countries. Let me celebrate the municipality administrator for choosing an institution like Unops for this metro, this train.
I'm very much glad for it because it protects my home, the homes along the riverbanks, and also our lives.
Fundamental reasons. The first one is that the Unops work actually helps us with savings, and we have the experience to do it. And second, because the health topic is one of the Millennium Objectives, and is the conceptual part of the benefit of Unops, and UN is looking for the country. I felt very well. I kept falling over and over because it's so tiny. So whether I put the chair and the water tanks and that, but now I feel happy because I'm comfortable and I don't fall. She's a 52-year-old. She raised 10 kids without support. They help us with the fields, then we sell it. They help us to open the store, getting money, clients.
We are also embarking on a new strategy where gender mainstreaming is key. I would like all our projects to be able to document the impact on women. Leaving no one behind is, of course, working in underserved neighborhoods, but it's also to make sure that women and children are engaged and part of the project, and actually also offered the opportunity for a more sustainable future.
After seeing this, anybody would like to say how they feel? Proud, enthusiastic, motivated. What else? Identified. Committed. We are this, we are what we do, and it's beautiful to see Sabu in your country. I don't know how long working in his country, feeling proud of what he was saying about that hospital, one of the biggest in Central America. This is beautiful. So we're here and we work October the 24th, and it's also a way not only to show our change management, and we need to celebrate success and all of those sayings, but it's also actually this has to do with us and with the UN, because we're part of the UN and we make things happen. It's not that the other agencies are less important, but if I work here, it's because of this. So things happen. So we're going to keep on saying it throughout these days, because the idea is for things to keep on happening. What is the main fuel for me, is only one thing, is passion. Then for things to keep on happening, we need to keep on doing, working with passion, renew our passion, or because we have threats, we can see them here and there, that we need to know. Because if I don't know something, I cannot handle it. And from there then to see how can we keep on doing things like that. In 2 years, for sure it won't be a video, it will be something else, whoever is still here. And we're going to see what is going to happen in 2 years, what will come through this screen. Well, and that was about our identity. And the other thing about passion, when in Spanish there is a game. For English speakers, not as much. Which is to deliver. And that's what it is, because we deliver results. We deliver things. But it's also, is what we give, our enthusiasm into that delivery, the passion on how we do this and why we do it. And I have seen you fight among you a bit, between you and me, but almost always, and really almost always, is because of a noble cause. Almost always the fight is, actually it'd be better to do it like this or like that. And this is something I think is quite unique about us. We are delivery, we're oriented to results, and we don't have many personal agendas. And that's also very important. And that's also why we're here. And I know that I sound like a motivator, but once in a while, we're here to get to know each other more. Truly, we're here on this logic that is being looked into more and more with the RMT and CMT, which are the networks, which is a way to work and organize more in a more modern way, in a post-modern way. Inspire also David focus like a blockchain is a very little formalization, and with the informality to achieve, well, everything we have seen. And many of the things that we have achieved in this region, and I'm going to tell you how long. Do I have a time? You let me know, okay? Yeah, I know, but you tell me 5 minutes prior. Let me touch upon a few topics, and then I would like to look at the agenda with you, because the objective is to get together and get to know each other better. Some people are new here. It's the first time we see them in this big group. But let's take advantage of this to exchange experiences and to see the things that we need to put more passion into, or be less impatient. And the 3 priorities that we have, you know what they are in this region. How are we doing in the 3 priorities? Let me give you a broad idea of how we're doing. Okay, we're still doing based on financial targets, all of that we're doing well. And let me tell you, this year we're doing quite poorly with targets. And I always hear this kind of way of speaking, saying Unops wants to do something, we're going to give results, or we want to make money. Because if we only talk about money, it's only the financial indicators, yes. Right. When the member state decided that they wanted Unops, they didn't have any need of having the public company working as a private company to do things if they don't auto-finance themselves. So the fact that we auto-finance ourselves, besides being very proud because we don't cost a penny, we just recover the costs of what we do. Okay, the fact that we are auto-financers, it gives us permission to keep on doing it. Obviously, that's not the objective. Of course, we don't want to make money. But if we are unable to recover costs, we can exist. Because what makes us different, I don't know if you were able to read the Mexico Declaration in the second executive board. Mexico said Unops is sui generis. It means that it's different from everybody else. So the financial sustainability of all of this and the fact that we don't cost a penny to the citizens of the world is an integral pillar, fundamental pillar, but it's not the reason of being. And it's important to say it's not the reason of being. being. This is our reason of being. So between the different ways of achieving this, one is that we need to maintain our financial sustainability. Then the developer portfolio, which is the first of the three objectives, is doing quite well. Sadly, concentrated more and more in less countries and more in larger projects. Therefore, we are more risky. Where we not doing well, and the reason for it is again on the delivery. But there are reasons for this. I want to say one because it's very large. And you look at the dashboard, you're going to see now our target, delivery target, is about $500,000. And this year we won't do this delivery. It's going to be under 200 million. That's important, and it's important for you to know why. Behind this, there are many reasons, but mainly two. One, there is a difference when we did it from Argentina, the planning on what was going to happen the following year. That was October of last year. We thought a certain activity that at the end cost $44 million were going to be delivered for this year, and for a reason that has to do with finance and interpretation. In March, we discovered that no, this probably will be like last year. That's why last year we did $45 million more of delivery. So those $45 million were results, and we can take pictures of it, but they didn't fall on this year, but the previous year. And the other thing, as the lead president said, in Guatemala we have purchased medication for $124 million less than what they used to cost. So 24, 47, 200 right there. So we have given a result beyond any expectations. And this, of course, makes what we deliver half and we was to have because there was a previous production. But we do have a delivery problem in Costa Rica, in Panama, in Argentina, what I've been seeing. So this is one of the things where we need to be focusing on more. Because it seems, from some points of view, that we promise things that then we don't do. We sign projects and then we don't execute them. It's not like that. But there is kind of a trend. One of the priorities then is to work on it. The second priority that we have, well, not in hierarchical way, to implement, to do a continuous improvement of this GRC, this new philosophy on how we are organized in the doing, controlling, assurance. We have taken many steps into this. I think we're doing quite well. In this retreat, that's why also they also asked Jim Delic to come, and we did it a little bit yesterday. We're going to try to work on the principal performance, which are the three principles that at the time we need to take to actually make into practice. It's important from a philosophical point of view and practical point of view, because many times we have the false dilemma. Yes, I deliver results, or should I follow the rules? Here we see Juan Jimenez. I'm going to be introducing him. Well, should I deliver the result, or should I follow the rules? Or perhaps I need to make it, which is the third principle, right, which is right in the middle, to handle actually uncertainty. So what we do is, first, the lifelong motive that I would like to promote, and the second one is we actually manage uncertainties. And of course, we follow the principles of the rules, but not necessarily we need to always follow the standard operational procedures of a rule. Because perhaps you just need to handle it, and of course, we want to have the results with total transparency. So what this is, as Latin said, a good head of household, the manager of public funds, and that's exactly what is behind to be a good head of the family and achieve results. If we don't achieve results, to have compliance and everything else goes to hell. What we're looking for is that. but we look at maintaining our values and principles. There are different ways of seeing this, on what are the limits of tolerance, etc. This is a topic that we can take a few steps ahead. Sometimes when I speak with some of you, I have the impression some of you are too extreme. Oh, this organization only follow rules, there's nothing to happen, and this and that. Or very close, oh, those cowboys that just do anything, everything, they don't follow rules, this and that. But there are ways to handle this. The species center that help us doing things, keeping principles, and that's what it is about, managing uncertainties. The third objective is what I think we're most behind, which is the positive incorporation of every diversity, and mainly gender, in everything that we do. And if we look into the group that we are, only looking at each other, we see gender parity. We kind of have some of that here. If I say RMT or MCT, so all males were more. But it's gender parity thing that is very important. This is one of the objectives. But perhaps the objective that have the biggest reach is the mainstream. And if I look again, the diversities of Latin America, I don't see it in our faces. If I think about the percentage of Afro descent, the percentage of population that come from indigenous group, and many other things like that, I think we are kind of Caucasic Europeans here. So I think we have to do some efforts, mainly in some countries. If we go to the Guatemalan office, you imagine that the Maya population will be more represented and things like that. If you go to Brazil, etc., etc.
So, especially in our project, this is mainstream here. It's still very difficult. It's something that we've been doing for 30 years. It's very difficult. We have a few people in our team, and I always say this when I see here, this is one that knows what this is, knows how to do it, but it's very complicated. We're always between two opposites here, a mission with all the conscious or unconscious gaps that looks at gender and things like that on one hand, and on the other hand, a mission that sometimes the practical part has been too mechanical of how do I truly achieve to incorporate gender. So gender turned into compliance, and so you have to do this and this and this, and that's it. Okay, so we did gender mainstream, that's fine. Okay, but that's a lie. So those that have these gaps, it says, no, this is no good, this is not compliant. So then this negative dialogue makes this difficult. So one of the things that we're going to do here is all these are the things that we're going to be seeing in one of the retreat groups. But let's look at them seriously, how we can truly incorporate gender and other diversities in our daily work and our projects, and because many times the diversity or the map of diversity it overcomes the main population. So if you do an overlapping of the map of diversities in Brazil, and you see where there are less people that have university degree, or more people that have more than average income, well, you're going to see that sometimes diversity is the friend of marginalization, exclusion, and these are precisely the people that we want. This is what we have to look into more. So, I have a lot more notes here, but perhaps for some reason in the last 2 years there are two issues that are more on our tables in most of the countries, especially in the developed area. Especially, maybe it's because we have more experience in this, or maybe we have a lot of results delivered, or maybe it's a fad right now, because it's a present fad. And both have to do with the two areas of the mandate we have. One, obviously, is the public acquisitions, services and assets, etc., transparent, efficient. And the other is the public infrastructure. There's a huge gap in there without this, and well, public-private infrastructures. In a larger sense, definitely it's not possible to achieve the SDGs. We have started doing things in this region, like all the APPs, and at the Unops tax, which is something that's starting, but last month or about a month ago in New York, we signed 2 MOUs, one with Uganda and one with Kenya, each one with a ceiling of $500 million. So these two issues here, because what has to do with the first issue here is, for example, there's a Mexico with the new government that's going to start in December 1st. We are where we are, and they want support in this. They want support that the public management, which should be more efficient, and that's just from these are just superficial words, because the thing is when you sit down with them, is because they want to get rid of the corruption they have, and we have experiences, but they're not a lot. We have things that we have done ourselves in this sense, and then we have the 2 little heads that put out more, which is the medication in Honduras and Guatemala, and we point these out because in both cases the same thing happens. Also, what happened we did in Jalisco, that there's public identity that came up that says they came in, they said, we have a corruption problem. I want to achieve the results, but how do I do to act with integrity in my own institution? So we've started to work on this, and we don't have the level of expertise we have. We have started to work. We invent things and then we start doing them little by little. So we have thought about hiring, and today is the first day of work of a gentleman that's there drinking coffee, who is Juan Jimenez Mayor back there. I don't know how many of you actually know him. Today is his first day of work. We asked him to be the keynote speaker of the first afternoon session, and he's going to talk for an hour and a half about that specific issue, because Juan, I don't know how many of you know him, but he'll present himself. And I say Juan because I thought you could help him. I don't know if it's true or not, but Juan has a lot of experience. He's been a public administrator in his country. He's Peruvian, and I met him when he was a prime minister in Peru. And I could see how effectively, with all the true sense of the word, effectively we would see each other every week for other reasons that we had, things that we had in common, how truly, day by day, Juan had to resolve a problem, the problem that we had to deliver results. He had a delivery, a huge delivery, a personal delivery also, but the complications, corruptions, politics, and all the things in Congress, you'd go to Juan's office and he'd have the TV on with the Congress channel on to see what is it they were going to see about the governments and stuff like that. So he was precisely, as Andrea said yesterday about our part, he was in this dilemma, and so that he said, what do we do then? After the government change in Peru, which was for a year and a half, and Honduras, he was the chief of that entity of the Organization of American States, that is called MACE in Guatemala. And he did a series of investigations, etc., regarding public corruption and corruption in the public sector. So if we're going to start to work in Mexico, I think Juan can help us a lot to have a top-down perspective and not just a bottom-up perspective, because it's important to have this perspective. So, Juan, it's a true honor to have you here. Welcome to this group. And I do hope that we start doing things together and that we will have other videos with doing things together. So that's one of the topics here. The other one is, as I said, the infrastructure topic. And there are many of the groups that are going to be getting organized starting now in the morning, etc., that are dedicated to these. You have them here, and if you like, we can look over them very quickly. Now we're going to have 3 groups, like so we can have discussion. So this is auto-managed groups. I think Leila has a little bit more control of this than I do, but I don't think she has the complete control, and that's good. The control, we have, all of us have the control. So the suggestion here is those that are in charge of a group should minimize the amount of time of provocation to maximize the participation time and the discussion time. Remember that we want to discuss these topics, these issues, but especially we want to create bridges. We have to create trust, collaboration. The best thing would be to leave here saying, you know what, such and such in this country and project, and they met, and well, so those are the things that we would like to achieve. Have everybody create bridges. So the first thing is, besides gender mainstreaming, and that's the first priority of what we have here. And in this specific case, I would like to have some sort of progress. Let's say that after meeting in Panama, now maybe in 10 projects, this is happening, and this, so that plans that show that we're advancing, which means that there's the impression that we should see this as something that's too far away still. So then we're going to have the pleasure of having Alejandro, the other Alejandro. Okay, there he is. We're going to have the PM of last year's projects, who's going to be explaining what the project is all about. Family agriculture, Paraguay, etc. And this is a great pleasure because we finally have, I don't know if you all know this, but we have that project, and Alejandro and Julio, we've won the first project of Unops in the region, obviously. Then we're going to have a session that I think is more in English, but it's also where Rob, who is the first time that he's here also with us, and probably Rob will be presenting himself at some point in time. It's kind of another advocate that he has in his team. And everything that has to do, he's very strong, and everything has to do with infrastructure, and everything has to do with infrastructure. He works with Unops for many years now, and in the Caribbean especially. He's going to be with Natty, because there are two different focuses of how we're doing the infrastructure in the English-speaking and Dutch-speaking Caribbean. And Haiti also, of course. Then in the afternoon, we have Juan. In the afternoon, these groups will continue. Then tomorrow, again, we don't have the other keynote speaker here. It was a public figure, Latin America, that had to cancel. And we're going to explain a little about gender and participation of women in politics, but we have not been able to advance there. So tomorrow, we're going to have a message from Greta. Then we're going to have the only true session like this, which is about principal performance, how to handle uncertainty, we're going to be working with gender. Then we have 3 more things in the afternoon, and I'd like to stop here because one of these 3 things is a group for which we have asked Nasser, who's sitting around here, to accompany us. There's Nasser. To accompany us in these days, because Nasser is my colleague, the director of a new unit of Unops, which is a global unit. He is based in Copenhagen, but it's not just for Copenhagen, it's for global, which is called NCC. And both Nasser and I would like, and this is where a true wish that we'd like to cooperate to do things together in this region. So I asked Nasser to come across the pond to have this opportunity to have, well, first of all, to meet us, and so we can meet him also. And the second thing is to start exploring with each one of you what are the possibilities of doing things together. I have a few ideas, but you will see them together. So again, we're all going to go there in 3 different tables, and let's try to push this forward. The other one is about the project Rixe, and the other one is what a lot of people have asked for, the infrastructure part, is the part about design development, and the design review continues being a problem because of the IPNG in the region. So we have a group looking at this, and from there we have suggestions and concrete things to go forward in this presentation, which is very important and positive in the region, especially in this region. And we have Giuseppe and Neda. So if we can improve the procedures, etc., of what we see in that group, I think I see a lot of enthused faces, and I think it's going to be very good. So at the end, every day we have a recap, and then finally on Friday we have one about a new idea that came up in Uruguay, but in the southern part. With Rafael, we're going to see this about, and the other part that cannot be missing in the results of who we are, obviously what we're doing in the health sector, because those priorities of developing the portfolio, what we do the most, what we do best, and sometimes we don't even realize the amount of hospitals we have in this region. We do it in the public sector, the health sector, and medical equipment, etc. We have one with everything we did in Honduras. So there's nowhere that we haven't done any health infrastructures. And last we have Alejandro, who is going to be or provoke you so that you can talk about what are some of the social environmental aspects, especially infrastructure projects, where we could also work more, and there's more of a niche there, as I say. So the retreat is more or less presented here, and I would just leave it as this. If you want to know more about the Unops, but those parts are very, the numbers and stuff like that is very boring. So I'll just leave this here, not before telling you some of my points of view. I'm more or less of a general director, and the experience that I've had with you this year says that we have to reaffirm passion, that we have to go out. Sometimes we're a little afraid, and we have to act act under the influence of being afraid is the worst thing we can do. Act in defense of being this, maybe I'm attacking and I can't defend there, but it's better to score 7 goals and they score us 6. It's better than ending 1-0 at the end of the penalties. So that's where we can advance more. We have to get out of the French illustration of having everything, organizing everything totally control before moving. We're not going to do that, especially in this team, because we are the leaders of the region with more than. So here are the people that most try to guide people. So if we want things to happen, there are times to do this. If we wanted, like I was saying, we want to move an army from one area to the other, and I have 10 minutes, then I don't have time to do a total study of what would happen if I do this and that and the other. Because if I do this, the complete study, they'd kill everybody. So we are the ones that will make the decision, and many times we make decisions since they have to be fast, more we to make these more in emotions than in the mind. So we have this something we have to do, because one of the things of leadership, we have to know how to handle our emotions more, vitality and so forth, because we will be making decisions on the run many times, because the situation forces you. So that's why I asked Erika and Freddie to do this, trying to connect with the feelings more than with reason. Sometimes the reason is make very long studies, strong studies. We don't do time management, and well, so we have to learn this, and we have to put in add this ingredient. I do feel that this can make all the difference, and what we're going to have a year. The mission not going to be easy. The mission of the United Nations, Unops is going to be more controlling than doing organization. There's a lot of selection in other places, and so we have two possibilities. We see them as threats. We're afraid of them, and we get paralyzed. The other one, you know what it is. All the opportunities, and based on that, we're going to build to what's going to happen in 2 years. So, I'll return this to you. Any claims come out to Elizabeth or Leda. Fabricio, I do have a question about what you said. You said that what you can see is that we have more and more larger projects. There's a lot of operations that depend on big projects. So we've come to this point, and how can we change this? Do you have any ideas, or has it been discussed before? Instead of answering this, because I've been talking too much, let's have more interventions. If anybody has an answer about this, well, if there are no others, well. I'd like to ask, since one of the main goals that you mentioned was incorporation of the universities of the gender mainstream, what are the specific objectives that we have in that area for the region? Well, when you talk about passion, well, we're talking about a different thing here then. Okay. We have to execute these large projects. We have no other thing to do. But it's a comment to feed this discussion also. What I've seen throughout these years is that we have acquired cultural richness and experiences that are very valuable, very great. And we've seen that in that video. The truth is, I feel very proud because we know little things here and there, but when you see it here, it's very impressive. And I'm very proud to be part of this team because we all participated to do this. So this richness is different. It's something new. It's more mature, more consistent, and we've been able to acquire this throughout the years. So we have to take advantage of this, not just sharing the information we have many players, but also this commitment, this delivery of how we contribute to improve things and execute large projects. So what I see is we are acquiring towards the counterparts, which are the governments that we work with, visibility and a larger credibility, which makes the commitments and the things that they request from us are more and more complicated, sophisticated, larger, because there's a trust in what we are doing. So our counterparts trust more, therefore they're going to give us more things. How many times have we not started a project? We started a project and then they say, okay, let's start with a pilot, something small. Well, I think now we have achieved this, and this makes governments to give us larger things. The last one here in Panama, which is the jail in Calud, which is a huge thing. So I do feel that that's where we're going. This makes a responsibility that we have, the commitment, the challenge, continue being a lot larger because we have to comply with things that are more and more difficult. So looking at all the faces here, I think it's going to be very positive. So I take advantage to give information here. Since I have the microphone, Willie and I, for the next few hours, we're going to have bilateral meetings with the directors, chiefs of offices, to wrap up the numbers. We're going to start with Julio. It's ready there, and then there's no specific order, but when we call you, come, because we have to wrap up these famous numbers here. Good day. Well, for those that don't know me, I am Alejandro Rossi, the director of Costa Rica. And perhaps something about the scale of the project. I think it has to do with something, those that know me, we might have discussed it more than once, but now that we're seeing larger projects, things are being presented with more importance, which is including the perspective of human rights, these issues of environmental impacts and analysis that the projects have, and of course the gender perspective that obviously it comes like a standardized package. And all of this we know that has to be in the projects that we are signing normally. We also know that when there's small-scale projects, it's difficult to incorporate these components in such a way that it will not penalize, economically penalize the projects, and it won't scare away the enthusiasm of the involved. But when we get into a certain scale of large projects, there's no options, and these components have to be within the package. This is a challenge for Unops, and not because we haven't seen this issue before, but because it costs us and it costs other agencies to operationalize the dimension of human rights, and also what we look at the way we look at environmental issues, and also operationalize the gender issues in the projects. We must say this: it is difficult to land this in the practice, and we need tools that are simple and easy to use, and to show the difference between zero and be a little bit working already. So I'll leave that there because it's a large discussion in the environmental discussion that we've had, but I think now it's transversalized throughout the whole market that we're working with. Well, Alejandro answered this question partially because you mentioned gender mainstreaming and human rights, etc. But I'd say something very simple. As a specific objective is to get and to incorporate the results of these projects in a more active manner and participative manner. Well, first of all, for women and it has to do with at least partially incorporated human rights. So then we have to do what Alejandro said. That the part about compliance. It's not just doing compliance, obviously. That we see that we wait for all the lights to be green, and no. I prefer everything red, but something should happen with people that are bringing diversity. Once again, this is what we do. Any other questions, comments? Andrea or Esaú, why is it Elixa is the first partner in the world because due to the millions of dollars signed, and if we're going to sign another one, this is the partner. It's a little bit higher. So, besides, it seems like it's Guatemala, but it's not even Guatemala. It's an institute of Guatemala. So I ask, why is so large? Why do they seek us? They continue seeking us because there's 400 and some million, and the other one is 370. It's almost $1 billion. So why is this happening?
Muy buenos días.
Well, for starters, I think we're continuing following the tradition that Unops takes these projects that nobody else wants. This is a tradition that we've always confronted. The projects that nobody else wants, the projects that everybody's afraid of, the projects that they see too complex, those are the projects that at the end of the day, that's the business of Unops. In the case of Guatemala, we the Social Security maintain a relationship for 12 years.
Con aciertos y desaciertos, pero al final tenemos muchas cosas que mostrar. No somos una entidad que llega diciendo, miren, podemos hacer esto o aquello, sino que simple y sencillamente en este momento nosotros estamos mostrando el rédito de lo que hemos hecho en estos 12 años.
Is that we have designed this for them, and we have equipped and we have done things with excellence, with a lot of transparency. Now in Guatemala, everybody talks about honesty and transparency, and for us it's a practice that's been around for 20 years. So these are things that we've been according for a long time, transparency especially.
Regarding targets, it seems that at some point, the not fulfilling or not achieving a target is positive for the social impact of the nation. For example, the lease. We had, I think, 400 million or more. 140 were achieved. The marker actually goes down, but the social impact is huge. Then it would be a good idea to consider this for the evaluation of the projects in general, because many times less is more. The secret, less is more. Where is the passion? And I'm trying to connect you, but Portuguese, French. regarding the small
acerca de los
projects,
proyectos chicos,
because
¿no?
we talk about large
Habla uno
projects as well,
proyectos
but they
grandes,
are
pero
there,
sí
they don't
los hay,
come
no
up as
aparecen
much.
tanto, pero
But what I have seen
los que he visto
usually are very
generalmente
related to
están muy relacionados a
innovation.
innovación.
So not
Basarse en que no
traditionally we have a
tradicionalmente
large
tenemos un monetario muy
historic,
grande y que vamos a
and that
probar.
we're going
Vamos
to
a
actually
inventar.
create, but the trend
Pero
is
siempre la
if
tendencia
it
es,
comes
si nos
out
sale
well,
bien,
we want
queremos más de
more,
eso,
we want
queremos
to
ampliar,
enhance, we
queremos
want
hacer
to do
mejor.
better,
Y ahí se van a
and then
tornar
big
en el
projects
futuro
come
proyectos
out of
grandes
that.
también.
The large ones Jean-François said, I think it had to do a bit with the risks. You know, small is good, it's not bad. Precisely because, you know, we achieve more. But one of the responses is that, you know, you look and you keep looking because you have achieved thing. And the other thing I know now, let's see how we do in Mexico, for example. I'm very curious about that question. But the other thing is that I believe that this moment, mainly in the transparency, is the public entity that really look for us to do things in a more transparent way, not only because our knowledge of doing things faster and all of that is kind of older and sometimes, yeah, I know. But they look for important things for them, large things. So they have a big problem. And that's they think that we're going to solve that. Then perhaps because we're more relevant, we have actually created many these services, and we also we have put that, and based on that is that we have this. It's like something that comes back. So we thought we were only transactional, we were things a little bit, almost with the eyes closed, and so we apply a little bit of intelligence, what it's about. So we advisory services, and once you finish with that, it's okay, help me implement this and how my procurement system works. And meanwhile, do the procurement because I have it, and then come back for a project. That's why these things about Unops and what transactional advisory. If I see 9% of portfolio are integrated program beside advisory, transaction, and planning. So it's also it pushes us to put the things into compartment, but in fact there are not compartments. So small is good, and to apply advisory is even better, and it makes us connect with other type of things. You know, if one human is here, how did we meet him? We met because we're doing a project. I don't know, in Peru we had $100 million of project, and he didn't care when he was the first minister because he was somewhere else and he had a social environmental issue in the regions of Peru, Suraquipa, and Cusco, and there were deaths and all of that. Almost every day, no, almost every week, we were on top of the how is this doing. Why? Because we have this project of technical assistance. You know, I don't know, it was like 200 times smaller than the folder, but it was politically important. We talk about this a little bit, Kika. Can you tell them a little bit what we were saying yesterday? And also with Alejandro, maybe, when we are part of things that are very relevant for the country, the purchase of medicine in Guatemala, the whole, you know, the whole directory is in jail. The president, you know, it's a complicated topic, and you see that on newspapers every day, but you become a tool, instrument for the politicians that we support, the government we support. No matter the size, it matters the impact. It matters what we're actually touching. You know, investment of what, 2,000, 2 million, 2 billion, or something like that. So we become more relevant, and if we become more relevant, of course they're going to talk about us. And because the development is not impartial, that they said that it is not true. We're totally partial. We want for people that are doing worse to be a bit better. Yes, we do want to change things, so we're not impartial. Then if you take this side, because of that flag, because we are biased and we want to change things, then, people from East, for example, we're very happy. So when we do things more complicated, we become more vulnerable. Things that every public manager knows. And there we are, happy. How many complaints do you get every day in Menexa with purchases? 2, 3 a day. Complaints. Things on the newspapers, illegal claims every day. So at the beginning you get scared. The second day you say, oh God, it was 12. And then after the 5th week, hi, I'm Marcelo Perez. For those of you that don't know me, I want to make a reflection that has to do with the origin of Fabrizio's talk, that has to do with the doing things and just doing. I think we should actually put it on the table about doing it and doing it well. And sometimes I don't know what was the original mandate, because the original mandate many times, because of different reasons, they put a project, and when we think about it, then we notice that it makes no sense. It may be a good idea to tell our partner, it's not through there, it's somewhere else. But the result may be more sustainable through time. I don't know where Julio is. They said about a project in Paraguay, and I had to be there a few years ago. And now they're thinking about working on it, divided. And that was a good idea, because with the problems that they might find when they're looking at how can they make it last through time. So they're looking for a more efficient thing. And it would be a good idea for our project to actually incorporate how to do it well and sustainable through time. So let me ask Andrea to answering that, if you can tell us the success of saying no with the less of medication and how it's changed.
Bueno,
in the medicine business, one of the structural elements, one of the most important one, is how the countries that have the main medication list, what they do basically is to decide which medications can be purchased. And depending on how the description is included, in some cases where the markets are not transparent, they give a name and a last name to that medication. In other cases, actually, they talk about the active principles, and this allows more participation of the whole market. And in Guatemala, around 30–40% of the medications, till just a few days ago, were described in the basic medication list, they actually had a name to them. And this, of course, became monopolies within the institution. And this affected the levels of savings we were able to get. So it was actually, the prices were actually higher than what we could achieve in other areas. And, they about 80–90 of savings compared to that we got like 20–25. And also with the whole support. Because this was a project very well known from the regions and other stakeholders from the institution. They have done a proposal to unify this basic medication list. And this proposal was actually enhanced from last year. And
Y ahí
here's
es
when
cuando
you
miras
look and you see
que el
that
andamiaje de lo que tú haces no
everything that you do
depende,
does
no
not depend
depende
totally
mucho
on
de
you, it
ti,
depends
pero
on
depende
doing
de
and
una serie
factors
de
and
factores e
interests.
intereses
That
que
what
lo que
they did
hacían
was
era
just to
mover
move this
este
list from
listado de
one
un
side
lado
to
al
the
otro
other
sin que se tuviera o
without
se tomara
making
una
any
decisión
decision
sobre
about approving it
aprobarlo
or
o
not,
menos.
considering
Considerando que el listado es
this
un
is not
medio,
an
no es un
end, that
fin,
this
y
has
como
to be
tal tiene que
changed
ser
every so
cambiado cada
often.
cierto tiempo.
After a year and
Después de
2
un año y
months,
2 meses, este
this
listado
list was
no
not
pasaba,
approved
no
by
era
the new
aprobado por las nuevas
authorities.
autoridades.
But 4 months
Pero hace
ago,
4
like
meses, como
as
una
a
medida de presión,
pressure
le dijimos
measurement, we
a la
told
junta
the
directiva
board
del
of the
ICS,
leagues
al gerente del
that we were
ICS,
not going to
que no
do any
íbamos a
other
hacer otras
tender
licitaciones
until
hasta que
the list
no
was going to be
cambiara el
changed.
listado, y
And
las
the limitation was
argumentaciones
that we're
era
going
que
to
íbamos a
have the
tener los
same
mismos
results as
resultados de
always.
antes, y que por lo
Therefore, a
tanto
part of
una parte
medication
de
we could never,
medicamento no
we
la
were
íbamos
never
a
going to be
poder
able to
comprar
purchase because it
porque
was
no
not
era
competitive
competitiva
in
en
terms of
términos de
market. And the
mercado,
other part we
y otra
knew
parte
how
ya sabíamos
it
cómo
was
venía.
coming. So it was a
Fue una medida de
measure
presión
to
que lo que
pressure
hizo fue
them and make
obligar
the
al
seguro
seguro, en
regarding
función del
the stock of
abastecimiento
the
de los
following
próximos
year to
años,
keep on
de tener que seguir
using us
con
because of
nosotros
internal
por
reasons
razones internas
that they were
que no
unable to
pudieron
explain in detail,
desarrollar,
but on the
pero
other
por el otro
side,
lado,
to
a
make a
tener que tomar una
decision now.
decisión.
That decision on
Ahora,
the
esta
basic
decisión
list
sobre el listado
needs to
básico
be
también hay que
considered that it's
considerar
not something
que
that
no es
can do
algo
an
que pueda hacer una
institution,
institución como
especially
tal,
if it is
especialmente si está
fighting
en
against
frente de lucha
corruption.
contra la
It
corrupción.
has to be
La tiene que hacer
done
con
through
diferentes
different
bendiciones.
groups.
Y en este caso
And
el
this
listado
time it
circuló
was
por
through different
diferentes
institutions.
instituciones que lo
That what they
que
did was
hicieron fue
basically
como
politically
respaldar
back the decision.
políticamente la decisión.
And a week
Y
ago,
hace
10
una
days
semana,
ago,
10
at
días,
the end, the
al
board
fin la Junta
took the
Directiva
decision
tomó
of
la
agreeing on the
decisión de
new
aprobar
list.
el nuevo listado.
And for now,
Por
we
el
know
momento
that
sabemos
we're
que van a entrar
having
2 amparos
they're trying to
para
get
tratar de
the
bloquear el
12
nuevo
legal
listado, o sea,
provisions to block
y
this
esta
new
es un
list.
poquito la
So this is the
característica
characteristics of this
de
type
este
of
tipo de
project.
proyectos.
That what they
Que
have
lo
is
que tienen
not
es no
only
solo
to
alcanzar un
reach a
resultado,
result like the
como
approval of
puede
the
ser la
list,
aprobación del
but the
listado,
game
sino que
starts
el juego
right
comienza
here.
en
It's
este
about
instante y
defending
se
them.
trata de defenderlos.
It's very
A nosotros nos
actually
cuesta
costs us more
mucho
to
más
defend the results of
defender
a
los
tender
resultados de las
than the tender
licitaciones
themselves.
que las
And I
licitaciones.
swear, these are
Y
very
les juro que son
complex
licitaciones
tenders,
complejas
400,
de
500
400,
medications.
500 medicamentos. Pero se vuelve
But
más
this topic is very
sensible
sensitive
el tema de
after that,
después
having
tener
to
que
maintain it so they
mantenerlos para que
don't
no
go
caigan con
into
protestas, amparos,
protests and
etcétera.
strikes.
Y esta es
And
la
that's the other
otra
part of
parte
this project that
de
we
esos
must take
proyectos
into
que hay que tomar
account.
en cuenta.
These
Esos proyectos de gran
projects,
magnitud,
as
porque
Isaú
son de lo que
Fabricio
decía
said,
Isaú y Fabricio,
because
probablemente nos
of
vienen
a
debido a
confrontation
una
between
confrontación
sectors in
entre
a country
sectores en
where
un
a
país
part
donde una parte quiere,
wants
digamos,
to have a
tener
different public
una gestión
decision and
pública
the other one wants
diferente
to
y
maintain
otra quiere
themselves in the
mantenerse
business.
en un negocio.
So these are
Y
large
entonces son
projects,
proyectos
and
grandes
for us it's
y para
challenge
nosotros son un reto
because
porque
this
implican
implies that we
que
need to
los
confront them in a
enfrentemos de una
different
forma
way or face
diferente.
them in a different
Pero de
way.
eso se va a hablar más tarde.
Estaba haciendo toda
And
la
in
cosa
fact,
de
we
Amenix.
said,
Y
don't
efectivamente
do
dijimos
the
que no
same thing.
a lo
That was
mismo.
not
Ese
easier
no era
because
más
we had already
fácil porque ya
won the
habíamos ganado
battle.
la
We were
batalla porque ya
already
estábamos
delivering
entregando,
more
digamos,
expensive medication, but the
el primer
first
no que se
no
le dijo
was
fue
before
antes
speaking
que
with
hable
Otaro
con
Jose
José,
Veronica. We decided to send a list. As you
Mandaron una
said it,
lista, tal cual como
purchase
lo
these
dijiste.
80 things.
Cómprame esas
Okay,
80 cosas.
let's see what this is about.
Vamos a ver de
And
qué
the
se
Unops
trata.
said
Y
we
la
won't
Unops
purchase.
dijo,
I
no te
think it
vamos
was
a
like
comprar,
40
me parece que
some.
eran como 40 y pico,
Because we
porque
wouldn't purchase it if we
nosotros
were
no la
elite.
compraríamos si fuéramos
That's the
elites.
then the only
Esa es la
reason
única
was
razón era,
we no
nosotros
reason
no la
pharmaceutical
compraríamos.
reasons.
Eso
There were
como
many
farmacéutico,
reasons, and
obviamente,
because we
había muchas
couldn't
razones.
purchase if we were
Y como
elite, then
nosotros
we
no la
won't
compraríamos,
purchase
si fuéramos
them
elites, no te vamos a
for elites. And it was very
muy duro. Y también era
difficult
difícil porque
because
todavía no habíamos
we
demostrado,
had
o
not
sea,
shown
estábamos ahí
anything
como
yet. We
medio
were still as
vendedores
sales
todavía.
reps.
Y bueno,
And
entonces
they
nos
sent
mandan
us
al
to
carajo.
hell.
Bueno,
Well, that's
nos mandan al
fine,
carajo.
but we
No
try
hacemos o
not to
tratamos
do
de no
bad
hacer cosas
things.
malas.
15 minutes.
5
Okay, we're
minutos.
gonna
Bueno,
gain
vamos a ganar 10
10 minutes because I see the
Hay más,
passion.
porque como veo que
Oh,
la pasión,
Roberto.
tal vez por eso que la volvemos. Ah, Roberto.
I was missing that.
Eso me hacía falta,
Thank
todavía
you.
no había saludado.
I wanted to greet you. My name is
Bueno,
Roberto
saludo a todos. Mi nombre es
Carrillo, and
Roberto
I'm the
Carrillo.
manager of the country program here in
países
Panama.
aquí, de Unops en Panamá. Al ver
When I see
La
the
riqueza
richness of the audiovisual
del
material
audiovisual
and the
y la
discussion
discusión
generated
que se genera acá y que ya empezó ya
that started Monday, Tuesday,
lunes, el
today,
martes, hoy.
there is a great challenge, Fabricio, and it's how to manage this amount of knowledge that we are generating, how to take
Cómo
advantage.
sacar provecho. Yo
I take advantage, Andrea said, of Taya in Guatemala, and I called him.
y lo llamo.
Yes,
Cárceles,
our
hay
global expert is brought, and every time
y cada vez
that
que
I have an
tengo una
opportunity to
oportunidad
show,
de mostrar
let's call it like that,
diríamos
Unops
así, los
muscles
músculos de Unops
in terms of developing
y
solutions,
soluciones de desarrollo.
I do it, and it's
Lo hago
been an
y termina siendo una
opportunity
oportunidad
to
de
position
posicionar a
Unops in a sector.
en un sector.
I
Creo
think
que
that when the
cuando la
experience is so
experiencia es tan
diverse,
diversa, y
and Jean Francois already said it's not
adelantaba
only
Jean Francois, bueno, no
diverse, but
solamente
the
es diversa,
projects.
sino que los proyectos también suelen
Okay, perhaps we're
estamos
committing
quizás
ourselves with more
comprometiéndonos con
complex
proyectos
and
más
large
complejos, más
projects.
grandes.
I think then the
Creo
challenge
que el
is
desafío entonces
to
es
document
documentar.
good practices, to document the risks, solutions generated, alliances, to show them and exchange them among us, to be able to facilitate the work of positioning. Perhaps the work of positioning, but it's not about we wanting to go on the catwalk and become models. But we want to be, or to people to know that Unops is a resource that is available for central government, local government, corporation agency. We just want them to know we exist and that they can know that Unops is actually a hub of knowledge, human capital, the number of tools that we work and we design and we keep accumulating. Because in Latin America, we have done a lot. So what can we do to have, a reservoir of this knowledge and facilitate the use of it more and more? Any ideas on this?
¿Ideas sobre esto?
Hi, Mario Massa, the ones that don't know me. I don't think there are that many. We keep been working the topic with Roberto. We've been working on it for a long time on public-private alliances, and this has been one of the things that we've been able to work with more larger and more complex projects. Then to a point, some people can actually support on this. We're not perfect, of course, but I think it's very important to start documenting things on the larger projects that Unops is working with. They tend to be very small, but they have a very large impact in the countries. And I think that one of the things that we can take advantage of is the UN logo in terms of transparency, very aligned to what I said. It's extremely necessary. Not only small tenders, but big ones as well. In Brazil, we have the experience of advising the Brazilian government renewal of the government center. This is managed in Marcelo. We went to the Vallato, Rice, were on discussion. They have given money all around. Imagine this project was very small as a project before the city of 520 million square feet just there. I think we have spaces as an organization to support countries in very complex projects, transparency, help with the tender, to try to help them with the corruption issues. And I think we can keep on improving when we cooperate among all of us to manage this knowledge, to see how can we learn from everybody's experience. No, sir.
Vamos cerrando. Digo una cosa yo como estoy en mi...
This is a Q&A, so let me say something on this. For
Sobre
example,
esto,
two
digamos,
things.
dos
The
cosas en dialéctica. La
organization
organización
is building from the
montando desde
better
el
center,
centro,
IBMG and
básicamente
other
desde IBMG y
colleagues,
con otros
and
colegas,
knowledge
un
management
sistema de knowledge
system.
management.
This is one of the
Entonces, esta es una de
things
las cosas,
that will be
que vamos
contribute
a
to have lessons
contribuir a que
learned
haya
and all of
lecciones
that. That's my
aprendidas,
first
todo lo que haya
answer.
funcionado.
Now, I don't think that's going to
Ahora,
work
yo no
that
creo que va a
much
funcionar
because
mucho, porque
those kind of
no
things
funcionó
never
mucho
do.
todas
And
estas
I
cosas.
don't believe
Y
the
porque yo no creo
top-down
en las
things.
cosas
I
top-down, yo
believe
creo
more
en
in
las
networks.
enfoque de redes.
So I believe, I
Entonces, yo me
remember
acuerdo en
GLM
GLM de
2
hace
years
2
ago and
años,
to a
no sé,
point.
había una de
One of the
las,
groups was
de
a
los
group with
grupos, era un grupo donde
Martina,
estaba, me acuerdo,
Giuseppe,
Martín, era un grupo de la región, Martín,
Alejandro, and
Giuseppe,
somebody else,
Alejandro y alguien más,
making
haciendo ver los
the
proyectos
social
de vivienda
homes
social.
projects more
Y
visible.
un
And
colega de
the other
nuestro,
director from
Sanjay, el director
Asia
regional de Asia,
was on the same group, and he
estaba en la
said,
misma tanda,
Fabricio, how
pregunté,
is it
Fabricio, ¿cómo
possible
es
that in Latin
posible
America
que en
everybody
América Latina
knows
todo el mundo
what
sabe,
one does and the
conoce y
other
hace
one
lo
know?
otro?
How
¿Cómo es
you
que
have
tienen
so
tanto
much
conocimiento
knowledge
en
in
común?
common,
Que
and we
nosotros
think we
creemos
don't
que
have
no
common
tenemos
knowledge,
conocimiento
and
en
that's
común,
something that
y
we
es algo que nos
miss.
hace falta.
And to show our colleague
Tusha,
that
nuestro colega que
managing,
maneja toda la
you
parte
know,
de
IT
informática,
tools, ICT, etc.
ICT, etcétera,
He's as
sale
nice
de
as
vez en cuando
always. He
siempre,
says, well, because
sale y dice,
they in
bueno,
Latin America
ellos
use
en
a
América Latina
tool
usan un tool
of
de
sharing experience in
compartir
management
knowledge
center at the
management,
highest
y es
level.
el más alto
That the
nivel.
biggest
Es la mayor
technology to
tecnología
exist
que
that
hay
exists
para
to
compartir
share
información.
information. They speak among each other.
Eso es
This is
la
about
cosa de
network. They
hacer
talk to each other. This is what Tusher said. So it's like blockchain. If you see that graph I always use with every dot. Knowledge is actually in every dot. Not one dot has every knowledge, a total does have it. So if I grab 6 or 7 dots, I have enough. If there are 7 dots to tell me that I lent $1 million to Lucio, Lucio should give me $1 million, and I'm looking for that to happen, but I'm not achieving it. And that's what it's about. You know, this that we're trying to start today, and we've been doing for many years, yes, but we are working on today. It's a way of doing this, because if we don't do it, we look at every category, folders, cabinets. You know, again, we go back to compliance in the last 5 minutes. Thank you, Cele. I would like then, we should all do it, but we will never end. The General Secretariat hates those meetings where we get up and say, so you go with the General Secretariat to a meeting, don't do it. But I would like to ask two people that mentioned, which is Juan and Rob, perhaps to use 2 of those minutes to introduce themselves without spoiling this afternoon's presentation, but just introduce yourself. Thank you, Fabricio.
Gracias, Fabricio.
You have said a lot about me, and I don't know what to say anymore, but I'm Juan Jimenez, and I'm an attorney. I've been a professor at the university, at the faculty, law faculty for 70 years. I stopped teaching to go into politics. I'm not in politics. I went as an academic into politics. I went the Ministry of Justice first, then I went the First Minister, then I was the Ambassador of Peru for 2 years in front of the OAS, and then I was as the Supervisor of the Mission Anti-Corruption in Honduras, Martín Arevalo. I saw him and we greeted each other. I think it's very interesting what you are doing into this introductory meeting, to be able to establish the shades, I guess, of what you can do. Because we are in times of scarcity, and when there is scarcity, people are looking for guilty parties, and when they look for the guilty party, they look at the politicians, and they look at the reasons. In many times it's the poor management, and many the corruption. But I believe that this implies a huge challenge. Someone around said the trust of the lack of trust will happen, and the trust in the public environment is one of the characteristics that right now has a strong position in Latin America, and I guess the Caribbean as well. And this implies a great opportunity for Unops as well, in showing the good practices, in showing how well we know things on this side without replacing the states, trying to give more capacity, that's our mandate. We're also trying to generate effective results, which is what politicians want and the states and what the management wants today. Then, looking at things like that, I need to look into today's time, Latin America, the continent, compared to the challenges that we have because of corruption, because of lack of trust, because of the problems of political parties. Politicians, when they arrive to power, they're experts. They're not experts, you are the experts. They're going to look at you and say, okay, now what are we going to do? What happened in Mexico? They reach power, they want to do things and perhaps don't know how to do it. And you do have the ideas and you do have the capacity to be able to do it. Then I think it's a very interesting moment to be able to generate a flip or to generate an opportunity that we didn't have 5 years ago, because economy growth went down and poverty is increasing, which is the other element I want to speak to you about this afternoon. So this generates a challenge to the government, because no government wants poverty to increase. Of course, people don't want that to happen either, and we don't want that to happen either. So what can we do to spend better in those difficult times where we require more efficiency? And we're going to speak about that this afternoon. Thank you, Juan. And before asking Robert to the same thing, let me communicate that, I don't know, for 5 months or perhaps in a year, that you know how to do it can become we know how to do it.
Hello everyone, I'm Rob Jones. As Fabrizio mentioned, I've been with Unops quite a while, on and off, let me think now, last 14 years. I first worked with Unops in 2004 in Afghanistan. It's been on and off over those 14 years, mainly due to frustration with Unops and its systems. So I'll work for a period of 2 or 3 years, get fed up, leave, go and work for the private sector, get fed up with making money and come back to Unops. That's sort of the process that I've followed. And my actual working career, I've always worked in infrastructure. I'm an engineer. It's all I know, it's all I do. More recently, I've been working with IPMG on developing the evidence-based infrastructure initiative, which some of you may have heard about. Unfortunately, that came more out of frustration than clever thinking. And I'll talk more about that in the groups. And I have a few thoughts on large-scale projects and how Unops should manage them, but I might need some translation services to get those thoughts across, and it will take a little while. But hello, everybody.
Hoping that the frustration is going to turn into enthusiasm and passion and all of that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Then again on ladies' hand, Giuseppe, please.
No, Giuseppe chiede, por favor.
No, a ver, yo
I wanted to add something,
añadir algo
like
también como
an indication on the work that we're going to have to do throughout these days. On the previous days, we were talking about the things that don't let you sleep at night. In our day-to-day work, and so what are the dangers, the hurdles, the risks that threatens what we do and we can do better. So it is good to share and celebrate success, but throughout these days and the sessions we're going to have, please also think on how can we, through this danger and threat, can we improve on what we're doing? Because at the end, we are what we do, as Fabrizio say, that's Unops identity. So try to see how can we improve things. Celebrate, and someone was saying, when are you going to talk about the things that don't come out right? Okay, let's think about that as well. So that can be like a trigger or something that will allow us to see how can we improve things. Always under that, look, that standpoint, performance, scenarios, how can we do things? We must reflect on that as well. Because if I can confess what don't let me sleep at night, how can we keep on being excellence operationally speaking? So what kills me is to promote something to a society and then realize because of a series of things we cannot deliver. I cannot deliver. The organization cannot deliver what we're doing. Then that actually takes my sleep away. I need to find a way to solve this. All of you, please think about that, and that will help us also. It will give us feedback on the conversation. Thank you, and perhaps we can do an exercise that we didn't do yesterday on this. I think it's tomorrow. That about celebrating the fact, the failure, the lack of success. We were talking about that a month ago that we saw each other, and I think with Jim in the morning, we're going to touch upon a few of those points, look into a few things that were failures and trying to understand why they were failures. What did we do? And one in Morocco, which is really interesting, how even there,
how we've turned the crisis into opportunity, but that's for tomorrow. Yes, we have all this covered in the agenda. So I'm going to leave it here. And Elizabeth, go ahead. Now we're going to take a group photo. I would like all the colleagues to go to the front of the room for the group photo.
People, we are going to take a group photo, so please everybody come and let's take the photo.